Hi, I'm Nava Mike, and today I'm going to be going over some things about Gwent. So think of this as like a mini guide tutorial to how some of the mechanics work that aren't obviously stated in the actual game's tutorial. I'm going to get into the game itself first before I go into like how the cards work and everything. But one thing I do want to point out right away is like these stats right here and what they mean. So total cards in deck is 36. That's how many you actually have altogether. How many unit cards? Those are basically cards that you have that are actually characters or monsters, as depending on what deck you're using. Special cards are these cards up here, which do different effects, like Weather. Scorch is a one that removes cards from the battle. The Commander's Horn boost. The Decoy lets you put a card back in your hand, and there's other ones too, I believe. And then there's other abilities that different cards have, which I'll get into that later. Your total card unit strength is a combined total of all the numbers you actually have between all your different characters that you see here. And then your hero cards are these special cards right here that are specific cards that essentially they are not affected by any of the special cards. So that can be a good and a bad thing. So like they won't be affected by any of the weather, which knocks the attack power that each card has down to 1. But they also can't get boost from like the Commander's Horn. You can't use a decoy to like bring them back to your hand, that kind of thing. But anywho, let's go ahead and start the game, and we'll see how this goes. So at the beginning of the game, you see your hand immediately, and then you get the chance to redraw 2 cards. This is a very important step because the first thing you want to do is see exactly what you're looking at and adjust from there. So for example, some of the little abilities that they have, like this one right here, Type Bond, place a card with the same name to double the strength of the card. So if another one says Imperial Brigade Squad and up next to it, they both jump up from 3 to 6. But I only have one of these, so that's not that great of a card to use by itself because its attack power is really low, 3. So that's one of the ones I'm going to switch out. See, now I've got a hero card instead, which is much better. Some of the other abilities, like if we go over here to the medic one right here, this one lets you play a card from your discard pile, which is really helpful because if you have, like, say, something like this, which is a Scorch card that's a character, it'll let you replay that, but it will not let you replay like character or special cards by themselves. There's also spy cards, which is like this, which basically you put him on your opponent's side to help your opponent, but you get to draw 2 cards from your deck because of it. So that can be incredibly useful or incredibly damaging depending on who's using what, and I'll get into more of those later. But for the most part, this is pretty good deck. I'm tempted to take out the Torrential Rain because I don't think this guy uses that very much, but let's keep that in there because I can at least show the effects of it. Let's get rid of Zoltan. Okay, and you can see down here, here's your hand, down here at the very bottom, and you basically take turns placing it on the battlefield. The tutorial shows you exactly, what each one means. Each character or each card has like a different range it can go to, either melee, ranged, or siege weaponry. And you have your total cards. You each start off with 10. Weather cards get put here, and they have different effects. And then here's your win-loss. Whenever you win or lose, you will lose, or the opponent can lose their little red thing right here, which will change that. And this shows you a total amount of damage between the two. And then the each row is right here. So I'm doing Nilfgaard, which I like a lot because the Nilfgaard has some pretty cool perks. Like if you get a draw, you actually win the round, which is pretty awesome. And I generally like the leader cards, like this one right here, which lets me look at 3 of the opponent's cards. So it's very useful for planning. So to start, let's go ahead and use our spy. So you'll see instantly that gives the enemy 7 points right here, but it also let me have 2 more cards. And so now he's going to buff that right there, so that's going to help him. And so spies can be a double-edged sword. It's very good to get, something very strong from the 2 cards that you draw, but at the same time, like if he does something like he just did, that can be very detrimental too, because now that is essentially going to make that card much stronger by itself than it normally would have been. And unless you have something to counter it, like something to cripple that line right there, then it makes it somewhat harder to, you know, want to use right away. But I do have this guy right here, which I can use to take it out if I need to. So for now though, let's see, let's go ahead and put base card right here. That's a siege. When it's going to play. That is one of the other perks that the monsters and the Scoia'tael get, which is, as you can see on here, he just put out 1 card, but it takes out a bunch of other cards from his deck and puts it actually into the row at the same time. So now he went from having like 14 from this 1 card to 56. So that's really bad for me. But there are things I can do to hurt him pretty badly still, specifically with this card. But for now, I think I'm actually going to let him lose this. Let's see. I'm going to see, part of the thing with this game is you have the choice of, it's not just throwing out your best cards and, you know, winning. It's all about how you want to play the game. So in the case of this, I've got several different cards I can play right now and probably match him with enough time. But at the same time, if I let him take the loss, he'll only have 7 cards left to play for the next 2 rounds, whereas I've got 10. And I do have quite a few high-level cards. And I do have several medics here as well, which can bring back any cards that I use, like now. But it won't work on these 3 hero cards. But those are strong in itself. But for now, I think I'm just going to go ahead and continue on. So I want to burn some more of his cards, so that way that I have him looking at less next time. Okay, so he's going to pass. So right now I can boost Siege Row if I want to, and that would make that 32, which would still not be enough, because that's really high. I can still pull that out and still win it, and I think I'm going to try that right here with this. See what that drops that to. 42. Okay, so then we buff this row. And now I'm much closer to that. However, I don't have a great way still of taking care of those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my decoy on this guy. I'm just going to put him back here. But now, I put him back out, and it's going to take out that front card right there. That's 10, and now I won that round. And I still have all my hero cards left and my 2 medics. That was the monster perk. Like, every single deck has like a trait and a bonus. The monster one basically lets you keep out a random card, which can be pretty helpful if you've got like a lot of high level ones, but most of the monster ones generally focus on having many cards and, you know, having a bunch with the same perk, so when you use like 1 card, you bring out a bunch. So to start off with this, I'm going to go and just throw Letho out here in the front. So again, since Letho is a hero card, he won't get any bonuses, but he can also not be damaged either. That's one of the other bonuses that different ones have, and that one, as you see, actually boosted that card's number, so it went from having 4 to 5 because of that. And that's another one that these different kinds of cards can, if it's the Scoia'tael or the monsters, where they can be placed in different ranges, instead of just like the front, the mid, or the back. You know, this one can be in the front or the mid. So, if you... the way I play, at least, I would try to win the first round, because the opponent will be desperate to win the second round, so they will play all of their cards, if possible. So that can be very advantageous to me, because like I can play several cards right now and just whittle down his deck of his high cards, because as long as I keep my number higher than his, he will keep putting out higher and higher cards to try and stop me. So for now, I think I'm going to put out the Siege. You'll see here I can bring back one of my cards. So I can go ahead and I'm going to bring out, I think, this one. Because I'm going to wait to see what the other one does. Just to think about bringing that Scorch card back out later on if I need to. But yeah, he's using hero cards, so I'm pretty much going to have to keep on step with that. And then I've got this ring card in case he throws anything down up here in the Siege row that would not hurt me, because that hurts both you and the opponent, which is pretty nifty. But again, it does not hurt your hero cards, which is really nice. Yeah, you see he's throwing out all his cards here. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to lose this one, so instead of doing anything else, I'm going to go ahead and play this ring card, because he's still going to have to play some kind of card in order to keep going in the match, because he doesn't want me to, you know, kick his ass again. So we see these, and then... Okay, so you came out with a bunch of them for 5. So I'm at 21, he's at 49. You know, there's very little I can do to probably win this round, but now he only has 3 cards left, and I still have 2 left. And we both still have our boosts. Actually, his boost, I think, is actually to boost the close range, so I'm tempted to drag this out, but that's probably not a good idea. I think for now I'm going to go ahead and just see what 3 cards he's got left with my leader card. That's the other thing, is each of you has a leader card that you can play at any time. They do different things, like this one right here is going to let me look at his 3 cards that he's got left. It's generally 3 random ones, but since he's only got 3 left, then I know exactly what I'm looking at. So I can see on here he's got the muster one on this, which lets any of them from the same deck. So if he's got any other crones, that will come out at the same time, which is bad. So that could be very bad, but we'll see what he plays right here. He's probably going to clear the weather if I had to guess, but we'll have to see. Nope. Okay, he used his... Okay, that's even better, because now he just used all those cards. I am tempted, because those are all 10 now. That would kick down 40, because essentially if I play this card right now, I can bring back my card right here that had the Scorch on it, and that'll get rid of all those 10s. So that'll knock down 40. I still won't win, but that makes him that much more likely to put down the other card that was much, much more powerful than his other one. Because it has the muster ability with the crone. I'm going to have to think about this for just a second. I may end up losing this, but I think for now I'm going to pass. So he's going to pass too. He wins that round, and now we're going to go into the 3rd round. He's got that one still out there, and who goes first in this one? Is it me or him? Good, him. Yeah, I know exactly what he's going to put down. Okay, so I could put down the Scorch card now, but it's not going to work because it has to be at least 10 in this row, and I know I'm going to get down the next one. So for now, I'm going to put down this hero card and save that meta card for the last one. I just hope to God he actually uses... Yes, okay, good. Okay, and that muster's going to bring out 2 other crones. So that would be really, really bad. However... doing this, I'm going to knock out all 3 of those. And now I win, essentially. Because yeah, that's all he can play, and I'm done. So in the end, I win that round. You know, it can be risky, and a lot of it does center on RNG, but for the most part, like, that's exactly how a battle works. You know, you have to be able to think about what your opponent has left, what they could still do. It's very, very hard to fight opponents that have multiple Scorch cards, especially if you go with like the Empire's deck like I do, because you get so many high level or like high number cards that, you know, if anyone has a Scorch card, you can lose like so many points in just one round, just because so many of them have like 10 or like 8. And some of the other ones, even though they have weaker base cards, the perks and everything can change how they play. Like, the monster, like he was playing, you know, none of the cards are, like, you know, really that high by themselves, but because of that muster perk, you know, it can bring out many more cards of the same type, and then that instantly makes that one card much more powerful. And that's how the different decks can work. But that's just an idea. I just wanted to have a quick game on here and show just kind of how that works and why Gwent is so awesome. Thanks. Bye.
Do you see what I